Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Friday, and we're doing a Friday Freakout because the Raptors have released a preseason schedule, and we've got 4 games to look forward to in October. Starting in, let me see, where was the first game? Is October the 8th. It's a Sunday. It is in Vancouver. It will be at Rogers Arena versus the Sacramento Kings. Local time, it'll be at 5 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So the Raptors have announced their preseason schedule, and it's cool. It's only 4 games. The preseason's weird. Over the years, it's changed. They used to be like 8 preseason games, but the players kind of complained there was too many games in the whole season. So one of the ways they trimmed the fat was by trimming how many preseason games teams play. So we're only playing 4 preseason games, but 2 of them are at the Scotiabank Arena, which is great. Last year we only had one. And then, one in Chicago and one in Vancouver. Now, our 4 opponents are as follows. First, we're playing the Kings in Vancouver. This is heads up. Tom Duke, Shane Waters, and Joseph Starks out in Vancouver. You guys have a game you can go to Sunday, October the 8th versus the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox, and, of course, Sabonis. That will be a fantastic game to go to. So Vancouver, get ready for Raptors basketball at the Rogers Arena. There's actually going to be 2 Canada Series games. Last year, both the games involved the Raptors, but this year, one of the Canada Series games will be in Montreal once again. But instead of the Raptors participating for Canadian content, they're going to have the Oklahoma City Thunder play in that game, with Lou Dort being from Montreal, and of course SGA also involved in that game. So there's 2 Canada Series games, one in Vancouver and one in Montreal, but only one of them involves the Raptors, and that's the one out West Coast. You better get there, Tom Duke. That's what I'm saying. Their second game is the game here in Toronto on Sunday, the October the 15th. They're playing Australian NBL team Cairns Taipans. And basically, this is a team from the Australian League. I don't know if they're the current Australian champions. Maybe they could be. I've looked at their team roster. There's nobody on it that I know. There's a guy named Bull Cole, but there's nobody I know. And I don't even know if any of these guys have ever been in the NBA or anything. So it could be very interesting. They usually play an international team at some point in the off season. In the preseason like this. So this is just another one of those international games. So we're going to be playing Cairns Taipans on October the 15th at the Scotiabank Arena. The third game is the game in Chicago on Tuesday, the October the 17th. This is the game we knew about last week because the Bulls had announced it already. Yeah, we're going to go play the Bulls in Chicago on Tuesday the 17th. And then that Friday of that week, we finish up the preseason at home in the Scotiabank Arena against the Washington Wizards. So there's your Raptors preseason. This is fantastic. We got something to aim towards. Raptors basketball, real stuff. The real stuff, baby. Not anything like just the real stuff. We're gonna have games coming real quick. I love it so much. Let's see what y'all are saying today. Dana's here first. Canadian Dana is first in the chat. Good to see you, Dana. I am Canadian. Good morning, everybody. Trevor J saying good morning, Raptor family. Dana's saying my son turns 16 tomorrow. Your son that's like so tall? Oh my gosh, he's very young and he's already that tall. Holy crap. He could get even taller. Happy birthday to Dana's son. And good morning, Trevor J from Dana. Trevor J's words of wisdom for this morning. Never, ever give up on yourself. Never listen to what people say and think of you. Hold on to your dreams and have faith in yourself and keep on believing, and God will see it through. There you go. Those are good words of wisdom. Don't let other people's perception of you shape what you should be doing or who you should be. In some ways, they're going to try and confine you and put you in a box that's easier for them to deal with. And that's not serving you if you listen to their version of you. You shouldn't do that. Just be yourself and be who you want to be. And even if it doesn't jive up with people around you, well, be true to yourself, because that's the thing that matters the most in some ways. And those people, ultimately, in some ways, they don't really want totally what's best for you sometimes. So just be yourself. Listen to Trevor J's words of wisdom. I love it. Dana's saying, my son wants to know your thoughts on whether Freeman Liberty and Marquise Noel get along or not. This is a good question since they had that little dust up in the first game of the Summer League. Very much like Marquise was going for a layup, and Javon Freeman Liberty playing for the Bulls team pushed him out of bounds a little extra. He did. And you know what? In some ways, we can look at it this way. Javon obviously was annoyed with Marquise to the point where he wanted to do a little cheap push. And Marquise, I'm glad he stood up for himself. Being the little 5'7" guy on the court, in some ways people may underestimate him. People may think he's a pushover, but no, 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 no. You do not get the nickname Mr. New York City for being a pushover. So this guy, he showed really quick that it's like, this is the dog in me. I will stand up to anyone. It doesn't matter who you are and what. In some ways, it's like I keep thinking about that statement that Masai made last year at the end of the season interview, where he said, we didn't have the right kind of friction on our team in some ways. Things were too easy. Things were too casual. There wasn't enough internal competition. Nick wasn't driving the guys harder in some ways. He was in some ways, for sure, with the defensive system and different things like that. But in some ways, he was not driving them very hard. And Masai and Bobby want more friction around the team. Well, the dog spirit in that moment between Freeman Liberty and Noel was kind of what they want. So they're like, whoa, they just get in each other's faces. It could have been the moment where Bobby was like, let's look at Javon Freeman Liberty a little bit closer. Who knows? Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. Game recognizes game. And I'm sure these guys are thrilled to be on the same team together because they can see how much competitors they are in their heart. It's a similar thing to OG and Dennis Schroeder with their incident from the past. These are not incidents where people take personally, mark it down, and hold a grudge for the rest of their lives. No, very rarely is that true. And if that is true, that means there's something deeper than just the incident on the court. It's not like Koloko and Caleb Martin hate each other right now. They probably don't. Koloko's kind of like, I don't understand why you got so mad at me. And Caleb Martin's like, yeah, I'm not mad at him anymore. So it's that kind of stuff. Dennis and OG cleared the air. I know that there was a little bit of a thing where OG said you flopped. And Dennis is like, no, you did that. But that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes it's a little bit of shit talk, and it's not as big a deal. Well, the thing with Marquise and Javon is it really is going to be like they have a mutual respect. They recognize the dog in each other, and it won't be a problem. But it's a great question. And other people have wondered about this too, whether they'd be fine with each other. Actually, I think this makes them like each other more when they show that kind of, I care this much. Well, I care this much too. You know what? We got a lot in common. We both care a lot. So yeah, that's a way to bond each other. This is basically how Norman and Fred bonded so much over being on the Raptors, because they both had very much the same goals of winning and doing really well. And they found a friendship in that kind of a bond. So I expect this from Javon and Marquise, because these guys are going to be working very closely together this year, being on two ways. For sure. They're going to be around each other a lot. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun playing and stuff. So good question. Thank you, Dana's son, and happy birthday. Trevor's saying, good morning, Dana. Morning, everyone. Not first, nameless. Dana saying good morning to Nameless. And Stargate's here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Stargate. Trevor J saying, I predict this season we're going to have 3 or 4 All-Stars. Oh, my gosh, Trevor J. We've never, ever had 3 All-Stars, and let alone 4. If we get that many All-Stars, something crazy is going to have to happen where we're absolutely dominating the league, and they cannot shun us. This is not likely that your prediction is going to be right. I'd be very happy to get 1 All-Star in some ways, because that's kind of what we need to at least get an All-Star. Getting 2 is great. When we get 2, it's fantastic. But I don't expect this. I really, really don't expect this. I hope we get an All-Star. How about that? There was a lot of dubiousness about whether Siakam was going to make the All-Star team last year, and he had a fantastic year. So I'm sorry, I can't get behind your prediction. But it would be nice. It's not that I would hate it. It would be fantastic. Nako's saying, good to see Nako the Nacho, by the way. The Australia game is going to be neat. Yeah, I've gone to a few of these preseason international games before. I can remember going a long time ago to a preseason game against an Argentina team that was actually the top team from Argentina playing the Raptors. And I went with my Argentina roommate. She was from Argentina and she loved basketball. And we went to the game together and she had a blast. Sitting up close to the court and watching the Argentinian team play the Raptors. So I've been, we play like Maccabi from Israel. We play different teams from around the world in the preseason, and the Australian team is just the latest. It's just the latest. We will have these international games, especially us being Toronto, being the international team. Let's see. Yeah. Stargate saying Kings, Aussie League team, Bulls, and Wizards. That's right. That's a hit list. Okay, Bill Goldberg. Who's next? That's right. Who's next? That's right, Bill Goldberg. That's right. Stargate. All right. Good to see Iceman like Gervin in the chat. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Off topic, but apparently LBJ, Fred VanVleet, and Rich Paul were spotted in Toronto. Carabana vibes are the Taipans NBA caliber. All right. Good questions by Fiercely Salsera. Great Raptor freak. Yes, there was a tweet that I saw yesterday saying that in Yorkville, Fred, Rich, and LeBron all seen together. Of course, Fred VanVleet, $43 million man, one of Rich Paul's top clients at this point. He's in that inner circle at this point. And since he's not a Raptor anymore, this is not a weird thing for LeBron and Fred VanVleet to be buddies and hanging out. It's weird. I hate it in some ways, but it is what it is. He's clutch. And he's going to be around Rich Paul. So why wouldn't he be around LeBron? So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It is Carabana week here in Toronto. So we are going to be a little bit under siege by a lot of different NBA players and different athletes and people from around the world that love to celebrate it. So, yeah, LeBron and Rich Paul and Fred VanVleet sighted in Yorkville yesterday having lunch. Yeah. On another note, speaking of people like Fred VanVleet, Marquise Noel released a fantastic piece yesterday on YouTube of his day when he got the draft day, when he didn't get drafted. There were a lot of shades of Fred VanVleet in that whole thing because he had a draft day party and he didn't get called. And he had that whole speech just like Fred did on the mic. And he said, y'all, I'm sorry y'all came out, but it didn't go as according to plan. I didn't get my name called. It is what it is. It's always going to be that way for me in some ways. I didn't get drafted the top 30. I didn't get drafted top 60. But I did get a call from the Toronto Raptors, and I signed a two-way with them. And they go, wow! And then they show them like celebrating and him talking to Darko and Bobby and Masai. And yeah, it was a pretty cool little clip. And in it, it's basically like Marquise that day talking about different things, like getting ready to go there, getting his hair cut, interacting with his brother and his dad and his friends, and just like going about his day. And he's talking about how he was at Target earlier that day. He's trying to get some T-shirts, and the fans came up to him and said, "We believe in you. You know you're going to be really good." And his friends on the tape are saying, New York City doesn't usually get behind somebody so solidly 100% like Marquise Noel very often. That usually there's a lot of division and derision because there's different boroughs in New York. And sometimes they don't want to take ownership for the whole city, doesn't want to get behind one guy. But because of what Noel did at Kansas State and in the March Madness this year, they all really like him and they want to have ownership of him. That's why he's Mr. New York City. So he'd go all over New York City and fans want to take pictures with him and they're all wishing him absolute success in the NBA. He's really taking this seriously about being a Raptor, about being on a two-way, and about being in the NBA. And I love it, the way he's going about it. And he's such an interesting person in some ways. Some ways he's very like normal, stereotypical street baller from New York. But in some ways, there's something about him that's special. And in some ways, I could see him really doing homage to the little guys ahead of him, like Fred, like Isaiah Thomas, like Muggsy Bogues. And he really is, he's got a lot on his shoulders, but he's ready to carry it. I'm going to tell you right now, Marquise Noel is going to be very special. And check out his latest clip on the YouTube channel. I'll put it in the comments afterwards so you can find it real easy. It's about a 17-minute clip, and it's very raw. Like, it's just not really like set up or produced a certain way. It's just I'm filming that day. And like at one point, he's thanking the people in his life that helped him. like his dad and his mom. And he gets real emotional talking to them and saying why he really appreciates them and stuff like that. Fantastic stuff, Marquise. And if you're going to continue to put out content on YouTube like the other Raptors, I'm here for it. We love to see more stuff, peek inside your life and what you're doing and stuff like that. It's fantastic. All right, next question of Fiercies. Are the Taipans NBA caliber? No. No, 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 no. No, we should kill them. We should absolutely destroy them. Now, will they do some sort of Trevor Gleason flex offense or something like that? Woo, and mess us up? No, they won't. The talent level will suck. In fact, one of the things I figured out about the NBL and Trevor Gleason and the flex offense in the last couple of years of him being on our team and being one of our coaches is that it doesn't work in the NBA. That in some ways, the NBL in Australia has a lot of guys that are about the same talent and same level of skill, that you can do it with generic same talent guys that way because they're all interchangeable. But in the NBA, there's specialized talents and they're very crazy off the charts talents sometimes. So that flex offense just can't go smooth. People will disrupt it. People are longer, stronger, and faster in the NBA. And that NBL stuff doesn't work in the NBA. I think that's what we figured out with having Trevor Gleason in the flex offense. So, hey, come on up to the Scotiabank Arena, Carnes, Taipans, and try your flex offense or Australian League basketball style and see how it goes against the new flavor of Toronto Raptors run by Darko. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I fully expect us to rout them. If we don't, then, well, what's wrong with us? We should not, even if they're the NBL champions and the very best team from Australia, they shouldn't be good enough to beat us. We should beat the shit out of them, honestly. Iceman's saying, when will training camp begin for the Raptors? Date, October 3rd, 2023 in Toronto or Vancouver. The training camp will be in BC. They're going to start everything over on the West Coast, just like they normally do. And I'm pretty sure, like, when the first game is, when's the first game? The first game is on the 8th. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if they'll have just 5 days of training camp. I'll bet you they'll get there right around the 1st to Vancouver, and they will run a week of training camp before they have that first game against the Sacramento Kings. So the great thing is they're going to do training camp in BC and just stay there, and then they'll have their first game, and they don't have to travel anywhere after that. So they really do get to go there for like a week and practice at training camp and then not move it, go anywhere, just go straight to Rogers Arena and play their first preseason against Sacramento. So that's the plan, Iceman. It'll all be over on the West Coast, and then they'll migrate over to us here in Toronto for the next game against the Australian team. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Let's go. That's right. Let's go and let's grow, Bradley. That's right. Let's go. Nako saying, Caleb and Koloko could have had a real good dinner together. You know, in some ways, Caleb Martin probably owes Koloko a dinner for something, or I don't know what. I don't know. They're fine with each other. I've heard both of them talk since, and they realized it was just the heat of the moment. You know, you got to understand in the NBA, guys get out of their heads for a second because the level of competition is so high. They feel so strongly about trying to compete and do what they're trying to do that emotions can run over real quick. And it's not anything that usually that's personal. Sure, some guys have grudges and don't like each other, and that is for real. But a lot of times, most of the little fracases between NBA players is really not personal. It's just in the heat of the battle, it comes up and arises at that time. And it's not anything that's like an ongoing feud. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it isn't. And these cases that we brought up, these 3 different cases, Caleb and Koloko, Noel and Liberty, and Dennis and OG, they're cases of just like happenstance conflict on the court. It's not like a rivalry or a feud. They're just in the heat of the battle kind of things. So let's see. Monique's here. Good to see the super fan Monique Lawrence. Always great to have her join us. Good morning, everyone. It may only be preseason, but I'm glad we got the dates. Let's go. All right. It's official. Monique, you got dates, so you can start the countdown. I'm ready for you, baby. So every day, I'm sure Monique's going to come in here, and one of her comments will be, guys, this many days until Raptors basketball once again. And we love it when you count it down like this. You go, Monique, and please count it down for us. Cowboys saying, I predict 5 All-Stars. Let's go. Okay. He's just up the ante on Trevor J's prediction. Y'all are crazy. But you know what? I like your crazy. I love it. That's the Raptor Freak kind of crazy. 5 Raptor All-Stars this year. Woohoo. I don't even know if anybody's gotten 5 All-Stars. Not even the Boston Celtics of the 60s. Did they have 5 All-Stars? And they basically should have and probably did. Oh, you guys are awesome. You're real ones. Iceman saying Mystery East team reportedly putting together a package for Lillard. If Raps express serious interest, PO could be enticed by a package centered around OG Boucher, salary filler, and draft picks. Yeah, I heard that yesterday too. I think this is real. I think this is very real, y'all. This is what Masai meant when keep your phone on. This is what he meant. And this is what I predicted at the beginning of the season. I think this might happen. Seriously. Everything's exactly right for it to happen. And it makes total sense. I am totally for acquiring Damian Lillard. I think that this is a weird deal. And some people may be upset about OG. But in some ways, this is the next move to do like a Kawhi move. This is the way that this summer would be just like 2018 when we fired our coach of the year, the NBA champion coach like Dwayne Casey, Nick Nurse, and then we switched and got a huge superstar afterwards, trading DeMar DeRozan to get Kawhi Leonard. Well, this could be the one, y'all. I'm telling you, don't think this is actually a rumor I'll get behind in some ways because it's very reasonable and realistic that could happen. The Miami and Portland talks have stymied and stalled, and they're not going well. And they really don't have things that Portland wants. Well, we have things that Portland wants, and we can make this deal happen like that. It's just about tuning it, and ironing it out. Now that the NBA has reprimanded Damian Lillard and his agent for talking the way they did last week about we only want to go to Miami, and he's openly said he'll play ball and go anywhere, that he has recanted his statements from before and he will go play for someone. I'm telling y'all, this isn't exactly the same as Kawhi, first of all, because Kawhi was a 1-year rental. He had his contract coming up at the end of that year. That's not the case with Lillard. If Lillard gets traded to the Raptors this summer, he will be on our team for a few years because his contract has multiple years on it. So this is the thing. He could actually win a championship with us. Seriously. We're that close with him on our team because in some ways he fits some of the things that we really desperately need. And that's a very sound clutch shooter who can score at any given time and especially at the end of the game. This guy may be the best in the business in some ways at this. It would make us a serious championship contender right away. If we made that move, it would do it. Even with OG going the other way. I hate Chris being a part of it too. But I don't know who's going to be in that deal. But if they had that deal and Masai can do it, he will make it happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it could very well be we are talking about Damian Lillard being a Raptor by the end of August, y'all. Seriously. This could very realistically happen. In some ways, we have the best package in what Portland would be wanting. You know, some people are worried, well, what if Scotty's involved in that trade? Well, I don't think he will be. I mean, that may be part of what they're arguing about right now. It's like, we want OG and Scotty. You're like, fuck you. You can't get OG and Scotty. What the fuck? You think you're going to get OG and Scotty? No. Pick one of them, and we'll throw a bunch of stuff around with them. You know, if you take Scotty, you're going to have to take Thad with them if you're going to try and do that. I don't know. I haven't looked at all the exact scenarios of where the money lines up with Lillard, but I'm telling you, this is a serious thing. I don't usually talk about trade speculation a lot, but this is a realistic thing. And I'm telling you, the wind's blowing in the direction that it could happen. And it could very well happen very soon. So, yeah, strap in, Raptor fans. We could be in the Lillard sweepstakes after all, because the NBA become regulated. And in some ways, he could look at this. He's a smart guy. And he could be like, I'll come play with Pascal in Toronto. I want to win a championship. And they will try and do it. And with the gumption and competitiveness and the skill of Damian Lillard, that will make us a contender. I'm serious. He will have the most talented team around him than he's ever had. Forget about everything he did in Portland. He comes here, and whatever we do, he will have the best talent he's ever had around him. And it will be very interesting to see. Now, he's not the same exact player as Kawhi. Kawhi is a very dominant player in some ways. But there are things about him that really fit with us really well that will fill some of the problems that we have with our team. And I'm not against this. In fact, if we're sacrificing our youth to go for it now by getting him, I'm okay with that because I want to win, and win championships. And that's what Damian Lillard wants too. So yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. I believe in this smoke right now because it's very plausible. It's very, very plausible. And Brian Winders is saying it. Other experts are saying it. And it makes a lot of sense in some ways. They talked about this in the beginning that Toronto could be a team where Damian Lillard lands, but they didn't take it seriously. But now we circle around and things have kind of gone a certain way. Well, it looks like it could be possible, very, very possible. And I don't think it's absolutely crazy. In fact, I would endorse a deal to get Lillard for our team because it would be the kind of shakeup and excitement that everybody would be like, holy crap, look at what just happened with the Raptors. And it would make things very, very fresh going in the season. We get that same kind of feeling when Kawhi was on our team. Seriously, it'd be a similar kind of feeling. Fiercely saying some people are disappointed the Raptors are not playing in Montreal for their preseason. Silver lining for Montreal is that Lou Dort and OKC will play against the Pistons over there. Come on, Montreal. We were there last year and we put on a fantastic game for y'all against the Celtics where we beat them in overtime. You guys got a fantastic game in Montreal. So don't get upset. Vancouver hasn't had a game in Vancouver since 2018. So it's like you don't get them all the time, and y'all are getting them years in a row. And in some ways, it signals to me that Montreal is seriously being considered for one of the expansion cities in Toronto. I mean, in the NBA. Sorry, that Montreal. They're going to keep testing that market in the preseason, see if they're strong enough. Okay, they all came last year. Let's see if they'll come again this year, 2 years in a row, and they're testing that. So listen, Lou Dort's connection to Montreal is fantastic and important, and there's Canadian content in this game. Even I think Detroit has a Canadian player or something too, probably. So, and they're two of the young cores in the league that everybody's heralding and wanting to talk about. Cade Cunningham, Chet Holmgren kind of shit. So, I mean, what's not to like Montreal? Quit complaining. If you want to watch the Raptors, come to Toronto and watch them during the regular season. It's not like it's that hard to get from Montreal to Toronto, y'all. That's the way I say it about that. All right, let's see. Iceman like Gervin saying, as per Jake Weinbach. That's not Jake Fisher. That's a different Jake. But see, this is the thing. I was already thinking about this in my head without them talking about Toronto being involved. It's like when I hear Dame Lillard doesn't want to be in Portland anymore, well, I naturally go to this place where I'm like, well, how could it work with him coming here? And I thought about this when this whole started this summer. I was like, we could get Lillard. They've been lusting after Siakam and Anunoby for so long. We know they love our stuff. He's really discontented. In some ways, what Lillard wants is actually in Toronto also. The rest of the league may not think it, but Lillard knows because he's a pro and he plays in the games. He knows how good Toronto's been as an organization and how we can be a winning organization around him. In fact, he may get a really stark contrast between the Portland organization and the Toronto organization if he was to come here, very much like Gary Trent Jr. did. He also played with Gary Trent Jr. before, so there's some accrued time with Gary on the court with him. And, there's all kinds of different interesting things about the idea of Lillard in Toronto. So, and don't think that it's absolutely crazy. I don't think it is. Not at all. Let's see. Stargate saying, Iceman, the Raptors are not the mystery team. All sources point to the Knicks. Well, in some ways, the Knicks are being weird right now. The Knicks and the Heat are both very similar in the way that they want everyone. We want Bradley. We want Dame Lillard. We want Joel Embiid. They're all fucking wanting everybody. They're just striking every which way. And in some ways, that shows that they're not really planning or thinking about things. They're just going for whatever. And that's the way Miami and New York have been acting right now. New York's kind of tying their team up with all kinds of these Villanova guys. They got RJ, they've got different things. And in some ways, I don't think Dame Lillard's high on their list to try and get it and acquire. I think the higher person on their list is Joel Embiid. They want to steal him from the Sixers. And in some ways, getting Lillard in this whole thing doesn't make any sense to them because they're very guard heavy already in New York. So it doesn't totally make sense for him to go there. In some ways, we're not that guard heavy here in Toronto, at least with deep talent. But in New York, they are guard heavy. That is actually the one position where they have a lot of different dudes that can already play. So it doesn't totally make sense for him to go there. It's the same thing with Donovan Mitchell. Even if Donovan Mitchell wants to go to New York, in some ways he doesn't fit that team, but Joel does. So I can see the Knicks holding out to try and get Embiid, then like going all out to try and get Lillard right now. It's a kind of like you don't want to shoot your shot in the wrong way right now because there is some big names possibly moving around in different ways. The Heat wanted Bradley Beal. They lusted after him. They lost out on him. They've lusted after Dame Lillard. Sometimes when you lust so hard for something, it turns it off and it goes away from you and it never happens for you. So maybe they're too hard up in Miami Heat land and they're not going to get any big name this summer because they've been too hard up and desperate this summer. Well, that's what I'm saying. Masai and Bobby, calm, cool, and collected, and saying, well, you guys need help with this Lillard situation? Hello. Opportunity knocks. And this is what I'm saying. These guys are not doing things desperately. They aren't putting their hand out there. They're letting things happen, and then they're seeing how they can maybe introduce themselves into the situation to get good things for us. And there you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you guys think it's the Knicks? I think the Knicks are going to get put in every single conversation, and half of it is just not realistic. If they really want to do the right thing, they're going to hold out for Embiid, and when Embiid gets loose from Philly, they'll jump on that. Let's see. Wayne saying expecting breakout performances from players due to last season to occur. Precious is definitely on that list. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, he may be the one that impresses us the most when this season starts up again. That he may be the one that like, holy crap, Precious is a totally different player than he was last year. Where did this come from? I love it. I want that to happen. Seriously, there's some new strength on him. I can tell if we can get good confidence and just good, like more tuned in and just making smart plays and, stuff like that, it will all come together for Precious. Now, there's a very interesting quote by Jeff Van Gundy recently. I love it. And he's exactly right. And this is something that may be going over the heads of the young players is that shooting percentage and efficiency is not just good form. It's not just good, like taking the shot and making sure you got the arc and all that. It's also shot selection. And this is where we're messing up in today's NBA. A lot of the younger players are not making good shot selection decisions. They're trying to take crazy off-balance shots. They're trying to shoot over double teams. They're trying to go through contact. And half of being a good shooter and having good efficient field goal percentage is decision making ahead of the shot that you even take, and that you want to get to the right spots and get to the most high percentage shots. This is something that was the biggest problem for the Raptors last year. We were doing everything hard through mud. Well, this year we want to get better shots because we get better looks and open freer and all that kind of stuff. So field goal percentage, Jeff Van Gundy is saying it's not just your technique in making the shot. It's the decision making before the shot that factors into whether you have a good field goal percentage or you're an efficient shooter. So more NBA players, especially the younger ones, need to think that way. And start thinking, it's not even just like it's the moves leading up the shot. And it's also the decision making of whether this is the right shot to take or not. Because some of these guys are taking horrible shot selection, horrible timing in the shot clock. Just not, why did you take that shot? That kind of shit. We hate that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of that these days. So if we have somebody who has a bad field goal percentage, we'll start making better decisions before the shot. How about that? Let's see. Trevor's saying, keep believing in the team and coach, and we'll get 3 or 4 all-stars. In some ways, Trevor, this isn't the goal I care about. In some ways, we don't care about validation from the league or the media or anybody, because it's like if we lived that way, we'd be miserable because we'd be waiting for like little drips. There's nothing like that. We don't need any validation from them. They don't want to give us any all-stars. They want to give us 1 all-star, 2 all-stars, whatever. In some ways, winning all-stars is good for the players, but it's not really important for the team. I guess for the prestige and having more all-stars, sure. But it's a frivolous thing. I'd much rather win the championship than get 3 all-stars this year. I'd much rather win the championship. So in some ways, it's like that. I don't really care if we get those all-stars or not. Zigo Edits is here. Good to see a new name. 9:30 a.m. every day. Tomorrow we'll be sharing the love for Leo Routens. Saturday Share the Love Club, 9:30 tomorrow. Good to see a new name. Kings might be tough. Yeah. If I'm looking at our preseason schedule, that first game may be the hardest one. That is the playoff team. That is the team that's on the rise. That is the team led by the coach of the year, Mike Brown, unanimous coach of the year. And then also is number 1 is our coach of Team Canada, Jordy Fernandez. So this will be a fun game. This will be a very fun game. It'll be a good test, and I hope we win. But it'll be tough. But once again, Zigo, it's the preseason. So in some ways, it doesn't really matter if we win or not. It's just getting tuned up and starting up. And who knows who will play or not. It could very well be that some of the top stars will not play in this game. We don't know. It's preseason. In some ways, it doesn't count, but it'll be a good test for us to go against a good playoff team like the Kings. But I agree, it may be a tough game for them to win, but does it matter if we win or not? And that's the other thing. Let's see. David is here. Good to see David Saborin. Always happy to see David in the chat. Let's see what David is saying today. So we did offer Fred that contract during the season. He just lied about it. Watch the Pivot podcast. He slipped up. Well, it's all water under the bridge. At this point, I don't care. There's a lot of different speculation about different things and different that. It doesn't matter. In some ways, things just happen the way they do. In some ways, it doesn't serve us to be angry at people or get upset about perceived slights, because in some ways, you could just let them go like water off your back, and it doesn't matter. So what? Fred's a rocket. It's all said and done. Who cares? That's how I feel about it. Cowboys saying, did you hear about Scotty being part of building the condo? I believe on Bathurst. He said it's going to be his new house, he said. All right. He resides on Richmond is what he's saying. Cowboy, he has a new thing. Let's go to the Instagram check. I'll tell you about it because I saw it. It's on his Instagram. First of all, we got Dennis. He's celebrating his daughter's 3rd birthday. Happy birthday to my big girl, big 3. Dennis Schroeder celebrating his middle child's 3rd birthday. Fantastic stuff. See, he has the kids just like Fred. He has Junior, who's the oldest kid, and then he has the daughter in the middle. And then he has a younger son, I believe. So he's got boy, girl, boy, and Fred has girl, boy, girl. So they're kind of in opposites of that. But Dennis Schroeder, Dennis having highlights of him going to the fast break with LeBron James and him throwing up a really nasty alley-oop on the Lakers last year for LeBron throwing it down. Well, I like the Laker highlight because it looks good, and it's you and LeBron, Dennis. But let's get you some highlights with the Raptors, those guys instead, coming up real quick. And of course, Dennis has got a picture of him on the practice court for Germany. The Raptors are going to be going to Germany not Raptors. The Team Canada will be going to Europe and playing their exhibition games over there. So they may play Dennis at one point. Team Canada versus Germany. I'm not sure if they have an exhibition like that, but I know they're going to Europe for a couple games to tune up before they go to Indonesia. Thad Young has got the NOAA system at his workout gym also. I can see it above the hoop for the kids that are playing in his camp right now. So they're using the NOAA system with them kids. You throw that thing in the lake. That's what I'm saying. Gary Trent Jr. actually posting something on Instagram. He's got a cool fit, and he's standing outside an airplane with the pilot, and they're kind of got their arms crossed. I don't know what's going on there exactly. Ron Harper Jr. Celebrating Rutgers knighthood. What continues to grow. So he's already celebrating and putting on blast his alumni, his Rutgers family. Always love to see that loyalty from Ron Harper towards his old school. Very much, so much love for Rutgers and putting them on blast. Also, Ron in New York at the Players Association gym. I think that's where that is. I'm not sure where that is. Grady has got a clip of him when he was in 2002, 8th grade Grady Dick. Is he 8th grade at that time? Okay, that's not for. Is he in the 8th grade at that time? That's how young he is? Holy crap. So he was only in the 8th grade? No, that can't be right. Anyway, either way, Grady Dick has got some old highlights of him playing before even Kansas. Looks like high school highlights that he's got going on there. Let's see what else we got. No. There's Pascal. Pascal's got he's got a really cool film, another Red Bull film from Austria. And he's working on his shooting, and he's doing combination workouts and different things. But today's working on his shooting, and Jim Sand's there. Once again, Jim Sand has traveled to Austria with Pascal. This is the guy we talked about who go anywhere to help these guys practice. When he went to another country, another continent, to hang out with Pascal for the last couple of weeks, and Jim Sand's there personally just to help him out. In some ways, I think Jim Sand is kind of supplementing the old Rico Hines presence around Siakam this time of year. In some ways, that's a weird thing that, Siakam is not with Rico. He's with Jim Sand. And Jim Sand is helping him with the shot and rebounding him and coaching him over there. But I love that dedication of Jim Sand to be in Austria with Pascal for the last couple weeks. He's getting a vacation. I'm sure his wife is there also. But you know what? That's fantastic stuff. I love the dedication of the Raptors to send him over there, and of course, Pascal being very goofy and fun and lighthearted in that clip, but also working extremely hard. And I'll tell you, the shot's going up. Now, Jim actually says in the clip that Pascal's goal this summer is to get his efficiency up. So it's like, hey, this is what we want. This is what we want to see. Siakam get more and more efficient each year. And that's what Jim says. Every year it's important to Siakam to get a little bit more efficient with his offense. And that's what he's currently focused on, working on right now. And that's what I want to hear. I want to hear that that's what he's doing. It's fantastic. Matt Devlin put on blast the preseason schedule. He is very much excited. I'm sure he'll heal up hopefully by then fully, and he'll be mobile and not on a scooter. Let's see. Sunday, October 8th, there's a great graphic, Canada Series 2023, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes. Let's go. Kings versus Raptors. Vancouver, baby. You get there, Vancouver. You get there. Yeah. All right. Mr. New York City, as I said, he had a new clip come out. Definitely watch it. I'll put it in the comments. He's also quoting Robert De Niro about Robert has a really cool statement where he says, always stay calm even when things are going good in your life. Stay calm when they're going bad and stay calm when they're going good. And I think that's good advice. And that's what Marquise is saying. So he's trying to stay calm because things are going really good for him right now. It's pretty funny. All right, Lloyd still got that Jamaica sky on his Instagram. So I guess they're still down in the islands. And then Scotty, here's the ad that Bradley's talking about. It says, I go to King to party and dance and dine. I go to Queen to style and shop and vibe. And I reside on Richmond. So it's basically Scotty's in a new ad campaign for a new condo in Toronto on Richmond Street downtown. And it's basically celebrating being in a downtown person. So you can go hang out on King Street and go to the clubs on King. And then you can go and hang out on the cool culture side of Queen Street with all the style and all the stuff there. So Scotty's in a commercial and he said, this is my home. I don't think he actually lives in that Richmond building. I think he's just being an advertiser for it. But he is very much truthful when he says, I live here. He lives in Toronto, but that's not the building he's living in. That's definitely not the building he's living in. He's not that far close into town. So, yeah, that it's a cool commercial, Bradley, but don't get it twisted. That's not actually where he lives. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be where he lives. If he moved and he went into that place, that'd be weird. Because in some ways, his house that he's in right now is much bigger and nicer than anything he could probably be in that condo. So I don't think he actually moved there. But he's definitely in their ads. And it could be that the condo is not terribly far from where he's actually staying. But I highly doubt he's residing at Richmond. I think he's just being paid to be in a commercial, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Iceman saying, Stargate, who does New York have that Portland wants? It's New York trading RJ Barrett. That's what I'm saying. You know, and the equivalent of their guy with OG is probably RJ. And in some ways, OG is much more attractive to get than RJ Barrett at this point. So in some ways, our deal is more attractive. If they really want OG Anunoby, this could happen. Seriously, I could see this happening. I love OG and I don't want him to get traded, but I could very much see this happening. It's like that's a player that Portland would want. You know, who from New York, what is that package going to look like from New York? And what will it look like from Toronto? Yeah, they're going to want our package. This is part of the reason why what Masai and Bobby have been doing with our roster for the last few years, even though it mystifies common Raptors Nation, is they're building value up in our guys. Is the lust for OG and Pascal that's been built up over the years is fantastic because it's going to pay off in this situation. Because these guys are looked at as being like, we really want these guys on other teams. And in some ways, you know, RJ Barrett's trade value is not as high as OG's. So if they're going to trade with New York or Toronto and they're going to look at who's involved, they're going to like our deal better. They're very much going to like our deal better. MK's here. Good to see MK. One of our best Raptor Freak WNBA fantasy teams in the league. MK is killing it. And we're so proud of you, MK, and what you've been doing in that league so much. MK saying, just wanted to shout out Diana Taurasi on scoring 42 points last night and being the first WNBA player to hit the 10,000 point mark. I know. Yes. And she's on my fantasy team. And I'm so proud. She actually was hurt for part of the season and missed a bunch of games. So she could have gotten this accolade maybe a month ago, but she missed quite a few games and she just got back healthy within the last 2 weeks. But is very, very impressive. She has the most points in WNBA history. She did it with a 42-point game, and she's no spring chicken. She is up there in age, and that's part of the reason why she has so many points in this league. One of the other things that people have to realize about this feat is the WNBA season is like a third of the NBA season. So anybody getting to 10,000 points is actually a huge accomplishment. And you got to understand, she's been in that league just like Thad's been in the NBA for as long as like 17 years or something like that. To accumulate 10,000 points in the WNBA is not easy because there's much fewer games over that lifespan of a career in the WNBA. So kudos to Diana Taurasi, and I'm glad MK brought it up. I was going to put this on blast and bring it up, but I'm glad MK made sure for sure. And keep going, MK. You're kicking so much butt in that league. And when the playoffs happen, well, we're going to have to see what happens with the Philadelphia Floppers and some of those other teams out there. There's some good teams in our league. Monique, your team's very strong also, even though I know you're not managed it completely. Your team is a winning team, and I don't know if you're even dealing with it. It's crazy. But yeah, good stuff, MK. And thank you for putting blast, Diana, for what a great accomplishment. 42 points. And boy, I got some fantasy points from that last night. All right, Randolph Phillips is here. Good morning, beloved Raptor freaks. Most informative gang. What a blessed day to be alive. Let's edify each other with good basketball news. Love and great virtual company. Bring on the season. I love that. You know what? Can you write the description for this channel? Because I love this. Let's have some good basketball news, love, and great virtual company. That's the Raptor Freak channel right there. Thank you, Randolph. Blessings in your description today. Thank you so much. We always appreciate Randolph and the Phillips family. Fiercely saying, I don't want OG to leave. I can smell an incredible season ahead for him. I know, Fiercely. But there will be a price to pay. And who would it be? I think that he's the most likely. He's the one that makes the most sense. In some ways, you got to make the money add up. And we talked about Scotty yesterday and why he's probably not likely to get traded because there's no value in trading somebody who's making $7 million like that in a deal. That's not valuable. Scotty makes $7 million right now. It's like, don't throw him in the deal. That's really good on the cheap rookie deal for right now. When it goes up higher later, then maybe you put him in a trade because he fills up more of that Dame Lillard salary. That's what I'm saying. We could throw all of our best players together in not all our best players, but some of our best young players like Precious and Scotty in the deal, and they're getting them so cheap. Because Precious is not making that much either right now, and they could rob us that way. We're not doing that. Masai and Bobby are probably like, yeah, you can get OG, but you're not going to get Precious or Scotty otherwise. You know, they got to save our dudes, the ones we really like, but there's some of them, their contracts just don't make sense to trade right now. In fact, that was part of the whole thing with us getting Precious. He's on his rookie contract going in his second year. He was such a cheap deal. And it was all along. That was what we were trying to get when we were doing what we did with Lowry. It wasn't about Goran. Goran had to have the big amount of the money to make it line up with Lowry's money. But Precious was the precious commodity that we wanted. And he was the cheap little part of the money coming from them. So look at it that way. Scotty's not likely to go to Portland. They may be fighting really hard to try and get him. They may be fighting really hard to try and get Precious involved in this deal. But I think that the one that they're saying is probably the most likely, that it could very well be. I'd like this. I'd rather they switched out Chris and put Thad and Malachi in there. And if they made it like that would even that out because like they're about the same as Chris's contract. If they would take Malachi, who's a local person from that area, you know, he's from Seattle, so he would have some sort of ties to the Portland organization and it would look good. And we dump Thaddeus. We don't necessarily need Thaddeus because I want to keep Chris. And, you know, OG and Thaddeus are close. They go together. And, you know, Malachi goes home. And then whatever extra trimmings and that. I would love that deal to happen. If that could happen, Bobby, you listen to me? The Rabbit Freak says, oh, maybe we should put Thad and them in there and sweeten it around the other way and keep Chris. But I understand if they really want Chris and you got to put Chris in there as part of that money to make up Damian Lillard's contract in a deal, I get it. Let's see. David's saying, I'd rather keep OG. If we need to make the trade Pascal. No, 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 no. No, Siakam's at a different level than these guys. And in some ways, he's absolutely essential to our team. Now, if that happened, it would be a straight up. But in some ways, that may be the part that Lillard wants to come here to is Siakam. Siakam's the most polished player we have on our team right now. And in some ways, he's the guy who would make it the most attractive to buy Dame Lillard into wanting to come play for Toronto is playing next to Siakam. They already realized that him and Lillard would have some sort of crazy good fitting together as puzzle pieces as players on the court because their skills and the way they interact with each other would be very interesting to see together. In some ways, Lillard could really help Pascal and vice versa. So I don't see this. And it's partly because Siakam's the furthest along and most polished. And we're definitely going to need that if we're going to try and make Damian happy. He wants to compete for a championship right away. So he wants to play with Siakam. He doesn't want Siakam going the other way. But if it turns out to be that, that would be interesting because then it would be a weird situation. But I think it's likely he wants to be with Siakam. He's not trying to be traded with the other way, going opposite directions. Nameless is saying, I agree. Even without OG, is a tremendous upgrade on Fred VanVleet. Yeah, I mean, it is. It very much is. I mean, the guy is absolutely ice cold blooded in the end of games. And he has so much experience doing this. He has some of the biggest clutch threes in the history of the game and in the playoffs where it really matters. He would have gotten further in the league if he'd had a better supporting cast around him. When you come to Toronto and you got some good defenders around you, you got some good role players around you. Yeah, things could happen real quick, Lillard. Just ask Kawhi Leonard. Just ask him. Yeah. Stargate saying Iceman, RJ, and Quickly. So they would send RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly from New York to Portland for Dame Lillard. Well, is that as good as OG and Chris Boucher? I don't know. I don't know if that's the same or better. Quickly is a good player also. I won't diss him. Monique saying Pascal and Scotty are going to be on the promos a lot this season. Yeah. Well, they're the poster boys for the team. They've kind of already been, and they will continue to be. That's for sure. Cowboy saying, "What's up, David? I like our team as it is. I believe we are a contender without Lillard. I would rather have OG than Lillard. Let's go Raps." Yeah, well, let's see what Masai and Bobby, if they finagle something, if nothing happens, well, we go forward the way we are, stand pat. I have no problem either way. But it's intriguing, and I am okay with Lillard being in a Raptors jersey. He's not on my list that I was like, I don't want this knucklehead here. He's definitely on my list to be like, he's fine to come here. He is. If it works out that way, hey, let's go. Let's go. Because this guy's hungry. You got to understand, he's pent up. How long was he in Portland? And where did he get to nothing? He really is anxious and hungry. And he's going to try his ass off wherever he goes. It will be kind of similar to Kawhi, where he has something to prove. Kawhi had something to prove when he came here to San Antonio, and he made it happen. He proved it. Well, Dame Lillard comes here with a whole bowl of steam like he has something to prove. Don't underestimate that. Seriously, especially if he's got guys like Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam backing him up. Look out. Seriously, this could be very interesting. Stargate saying if the Raptors trade OG, expect a huge dip in the defense. That's what worries me. We're already kind of worried about that anyway. And to be honest, think about this, Stargate. Our defense sucked last year anyway. We lost our really good premium defense that we had for like years and years before. There's a certain thing about our culture and how we do things on defense that went out the window with the toxic not connecting last year. We had wide open like lane where people just came in and laid it up. Nobody gave a shit. We had really, really bad defense last year. So in some ways, we got to tighten it up no matter what. And, Darko's rebuilding the defense in some ways. Sure, he's going to take some of the stuff that worked with Nick. I think he's already said that he wants to do a lot of the switching still, like from man-to-man to zone to doing different schemes on the fly, because these guys are already trained to kind of do that. But like I said, he's not going to be point of attack on the outside orienting the defense. He's going to start it from the middle and the rim protector, the center in the middle, and build it out from that way instead of building it from attacking the ball handler and doubling them aggressively like Nick was doing last year. That's out the window. So we'll have to see how the defense changes. I think you're exactly right that our defense will suffer if OG leaves and goes somewhere else because obviously he is probably our best defensive player. But you know what? We have a lot of really good, talented defensive players right now that if anybody could weather the storm of the loss of him, it's us. Precious is an excellent defensive player on a lot of different players also. OG's known for being able to guard Trey Young all the way to Nikola Jokic. Well, in some ways, Precious can do that too. And Scotty's trying to become that guy also. So you got to pay a little to get something really amazing. And in some ways, this could be very much OG's like DeMar this time. That it's like that, and that Lillard is that Kawhi guy. I'm telling you, it could happen. David's saying, "Yeah, Cowboy," and Nameless is saying it's hard to argue against what Lex is dropping. It's a weird thing because I know this would be really good for our team, even though we'd be saying goodbye to some guys. But it would be the same feel like 2018. We'd have this burgeoning promise. There'd be question marks. There's a new coach, just like Nick Nurse was at that time. There's a new superstar that we're not totally sure if he's bought in and ready to play for us. Except I'm more sure of Lillard than I was of Kawhi at that time. I didn't give anything like with Kawhi. I wasn't even sure if he's going to show up in Toronto that summer after we traded for him. But boy, did he come in and he bought in. So if Kawhi, a very difficult player who was managed with load management, everything was very happy and successful and thrived here, Dame Lillard will thrive here for sure. If Kawhi can go through it as a problem kind of player, well, Dame Lillard's not a problem kind of player. This is a really good pro and a sound, very good vet in a lot of different ways. He will come in, he will do his job, and he will thrive here if this happens this way. Iceman saying at Stargate, Portland doesn't want any guards like quickly. OG, Boucher, Thad works in NBA trade machine. Raps will add $7 million in salary though, unless Raptors add more players. Well, in some ways, that would be like calculating whether it's worth it to go into the luxury tax or not. That's the thing. They're going to have to see and work it all out. Okay, so you've seen a deal where it works straight up with OG, Chris, and Thaddeus in the deal for Dame Lillard. I don't know. That may be a deal I take and do. Seriously. In some ways, it's a crazy, really drastic move. But it's the kind of stuff that Masai was kind of hinting on in the beginning of the summer. You never know what could happen in the offseason. Somebody gets upset. Somebody doesn't want to play somewhere all of a sudden. And boom, opportunities arise and they jump on them because they've been smart about keeping their assets up in value and keeping flexibility with how they can move as a front office. That's why they're badasses. That is it right there. There's so many other teams around the league right now that do not have as attractive stuff to trade to Portland. And that is what Iceman's describing right there. We do. And that's the difference. And that is all set up by the great front office of the Raptors, that we keep our value up high because we don't decimate our value because we value them. Other teams will like put people on the block like crazy, like Miles Turner. And some people get devalued and not as special or important because they're like, oh, they'll trade him every year. They're saying, hey, we'll trade Miles Turner. You guys want Miles Turner? No, nobody's trying to trade for Miles Turner right now. Okay. All right, we'll try again next year. Is that helping the trade value of Miles Turner? No, it's not. It hurts it, actually. So the way we treat like OG and Pascal, and when people call and they say, yeah, we want to get OG for 5 first-round picks. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Hang up. His value just went up some more. That's why they're so brilliant in that way. I wish ordinary people around the Raptors nation would see that because it's very true. And that may be the difference in what matters in this whole Lillard thing right now. Seriously. Let's see. Oh, crap. Okay, here we go. Okay, Monique's got breaking news. It's CBL news. All right. Montreal Lions promote Annie LaRouche to team president. LaRouche makes history becoming the first ever woman president of Montreal Professional Sports Organization. Well, congratulations to her. This is a little niche, Monique. We're getting into the very specialized Monique news here, which sometimes she does, and we appreciate. But yeah, this is good, I guess. It's a city accolade, though. It's just from Montreal. I mean, I guess that's cool. I'm not gonna hate. Good for her. I'm glad she's a team president of the Montreal Arsenal. Is that what their name is, right, or something like that? Alliance. That's right. Name is saying, I just don't know if you keep Scotty that it's wise to trade his best pal OG. Well, Scotty's smart. Listen, he's already had 2 of his best pals gone from the team. They were Justin and Delano. Those were his 2 best friends on the team. They're already gone. So OG going, I mean, it may make him sad in certain ways. They may want to compete really hard against each other. But in some ways, I'll bet you Scotty would be fanboying a little bit that he'd be playing next to Dame Lillard all of a sudden. You've got to understand, Scotty does really appreciate the legends and the people that have been there before him. He's a huge Kobe fan. So you know what? If he's getting to play against Dame Lillard, who had battles, or play with Dame Lillard, who had battles with Kobe very often in the Western Conference in all kinds of ways, he would love that. He'd eat it up. He'd probably welcome Dame Lillard as a teammate. Trust me. And he may really respect him. In fact, that could really help the leadership issues on our team in some ways, having Lillard on our team all of a sudden. He's somebody that people will listen to because he's done it all. And it's not like he could actually kick your ass right now. So it's like Lillard would really get the respect of those young guys if there are any young guys still disrespecting our vets. They will respect Lillard, that's for sure. Not Garrett Temple. That's for sure, if not Garrett Temple. Let's see. Wayne's saying, not much of a speculator, but Lillard ticks one important box: fourth quarter execution. Who we give up, I don't know. Just one member of our core I'm willing to sacrifice. No Pascal off the table. Keep OG is what David keeps saying too. Listen, this is part of the fun that we do on this Raptor Free channel is we're all kind of speculating and talking about it. And it's, you know what? We all have our different opinions of what we would do and what we wouldn't. But let's kick back and just watch, eat the popcorn, and watch what Bobby and Masai do or don't do. You know, if they don't do anything, I have no problem with it. Just like Cowboys said, I love this team. Going way we're going right now is be fine. And we've said this before. We don't need to make a trade. We don't need to do anything. We're not desperate in any way. Well, Portland is desperate in some ways. And that's the same thing that happened with San Antonio at that time, that they were a little desperate to get rid of Kawhi Leonard that summer. And in some ways, that helped the deal happen. So we'll have to see. These guys may be opportunists, and they may have some really big deal coming up, Masai and Bobby. But if they don't, we're fine. We're not desperate. We can go forward the way we are also. That's a very much a place of strength where we're coming from. And I like that. I like that a lot. Seymour's here. Good to see the Sheriff Seymour Pape holding it down in Alberta for us. I like what we have. Don't make no moves. We are started the season balanced for the first time in many years. Stay the course. Rely on Messiah. Okay, so Seymour's on about doing a Lillard shakeup deal. He's just not into it. He said he likes this, what we got, and he feels like it's the most balanced team in a while. Okay, I'm with you, Seymour, in some ways. I don't think we can go wrong either way. In some ways, I was like, if they make that deal, they pull the trigger, well, we'll get behind it and support it. If nothing happens, we don't get all upset and in a tizzy like some of Raptors Nation. You're not making moves. You're not trying hard enough. Why are you dropping the ball on this? Why didn't you get this player instead of that team getting this player? They're so unreasonable and crazy with their demands and what they think this front office should be doing. You know, not every deal is something where the Raptors may have had an opportunity to get involved in. Some of these people act like this. Like, whoa, they just signed this player for so little in the Clippers. Why didn't we get him? What the fuck, you idiots? Just stop. All right, let's keep going. Iceman saying, fun fact, Masai Ujiri played high school basketball for the same high school as Michael Porter Jr. And Marshawn Beauchamp, Nathan Hale High School in Seattle. Very interesting. Maybe this is why he likes Malachi so much, because Masai has Seattle ties. Very interesting tidbit of information there, Iceman. Very, very interesting. Let's see. Stargate saying getting Lillard only helps the Raptors in terms of scoring. Lillard is a great player, but does he fit? He needs the ball in his hands a lot, and he is not much of a playmaker and doesn't play defense. I get it. I get it. He does have a very particular, big, huge strength, and it's something we have lacked. Listen, in some ways, it's the clutch. It's also just the scoring consistently throughout the whole entire game. There ain't going to be no scoring droughts with Damian Lillard on our team. There won't be no period of time where the Raptors don't score for like 3 minutes on the court. That won't happen with him around. Trust me, that will not happen. So there's more on the offensive end that he will fix that is so integral and so important. In some ways, he will bring us respect as far as like the league will view us more of a championship contender or a possible player in the playoffs. There's all kinds of different things that can bring about that would be very good thing. Now you're saying, all right, the things he doesn't do or the things that may be a problem, he needs the ball in his hands a lot. Yes. But there's a balance, and we can figure out a balance between him and Siakam with different attacks. Obviously, dabbling some Scotty in there, some Gary Trent Jr., stuff like that. Sure.
But he's been able to do this. He's balanced himself with Simons. He's balanced himself with Nurkic, different people in Portland over the years, CJ McCollum. So this shouldn't be a problem. He's been very, very good. And he's actually a more underrated passer than you actually give him credit. He actually does set up his guys really well, and not setting them up directly, but also being a decoy and getting so much attention. They have to really respect Lillard. So they're going to shadow him. And they're going to come with doubles. And that's going to mean Gary Trent's way more open, or Pascal or Scotty, Grady. That's the thing. And also, that's another thing right there. You want young Grady Dick to start learning from, like Gary Trent learned from him already in his couple years in Portland. A great shooter like Dame Lillard can come and teach Grady Dick some things or two. I'll bet you that too. Now, as far as his defense, I get it. He's not a premium defender. And in some ways, he would be kind of a liability at times. But you know what? You don't underestimate his effort. And if he really, really wants to win a championship, he's going to be going all out. And if he knows also how to play a team defense where it makes it sound. He's played with so many players in Portland. He's played with bad defenders. He's played with good defenders. He knows what a good defense feels like when it seals everything out. He can be that part still, because he has the veteran leadership and the understanding of experience of all kinds of dynamic situations. And he will be motivated, is what I'm saying. The motivation that Lillard's going to show this season to shut everybody up about what they said about him this summer, to make it look better than he's looked because he's demanding to leave. He's going to have a lot of gumption. And a player like him that's already like a competitive, almost like Michael Jordan, kind of like I want to kill you kind of guy on the court, with the extra motivation to prove something else on top of it. Yeah, you want that on your team. Trust me. If we lacked any kind of dog or scoring or any kind of offensive spirit that is just capable all the time, last year, this guy would fit and fill this all up right quick. So I'm not worried about his defense. If he is a liability on defense and we need to do better, go sick Dennis on them. Dennis can go get them and he can go guard the other guy. Or if he has to take a break and we can't use him for a little bit of time, we got ways to go around this. So I'm not worried about those concerns in particular, Stargate. Not worried about those. Cowboys saying, hang on, it jumped, of course. And please give me the cutoff. Let's see. Wait, let me get to the right place. Cowboys saying breakout players, Precious and Coloco. But I want to see what Grady and McDaniels. I believe we have a great bench this year. Let's grow Raptors. You want to see what Grady and McDaniels might do? Yeah, there'll be X factors. I don't expect too much from Grady this year. Well, I'll be very pleasantly surprised with whatever Jalen McDaniels provides for the Raptors. And I like your two guys to break out. I really hope Precious is for sure. And we'll see how much Coloco's grown too. Chris is saying, I think shot selection comes from a good offense and the team playing as a unit. Some players will take selfish shots, but with no offense, they all will. Let's hope we don't see that this year. That's what we saw last year, for sure. A lot of selfish shots, not really the best shots. Shot selection does really matter for shot efficiency. I think that's what Jeff Van Gundy is trying to say. And MSJ saying, oh, Facebook, I forgot the password. I think I might pass, though. Okay. Cowboys saying Muggsy Bogues in the house. Let's go. Yeah, Muggsy. Yeah, we love Muggsy. Iceman saying starters, Lillard, Gary, Scotty, Pascal, and Pirtle. Bench mob, Flynn, Schroeder, McDaniels, Porter Jr., Achua, Dick, Coloco, Temple, Doughton Jr. Other free agents, Raps get 3 All-Stars with Damian Lillard, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal. Wow, that's how they get the 3 All-Stars. You trade and get Damian Lillard, and Scotty and Pascal also get All-Star. I'm all about that. That's cool. Fiercely saying congrats to Annie LaRouche. Yes, CBL. Woo! This is awesome. Stargate saying at MSJ, I agree 100%. This is why I don't feel Lillard is a good fit here. He is a name that will make us more recognizable to the U.S. media and our names in their mouths more. But does he really fit? Well, he does. In fact, he may fit more with us than he fits with Miami or New York. Once again, they're very ball guard dominated. You got Jimmy, you got Tyler Hero, you got Caleb Martin, you got a lot of shooters and 3-point shooters down in Miami already that kind of do what Dame Lillard already does. It's almost kind of like Miami's just greedy and they just want to add more. And in some ways, he doesn't fit with Miami. That's the weird thing to me. It's like they have what Dame Lillard is there. That's why they got to trade Tyler Hero back. Is because Tyler Hero is Dame Lillard for Miami. So in some ways that doesn't fit that way. And then with New York, like I said just a little bit ago, their team is more like really good guards that it'll be more muddled and confusing. On our team, there really is. If you trade OG the other way, there really is only Scotty and Gary as far as really important guard depth. And Damian can jump in and eat up a lot of those minutes real quick and easy, and it's not a big deal. In some ways, it would make Dennis more of a specialty player for us off the bench, and I have no problem with that. And I'm sure Dennis wouldn't have any problem with that either. So it's a weird situation. He actually fits with us better than the other teams that they're naming right now to be possibly interested in Lillard. So very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Good morning to Cool Cat, Scotty Barnes, Twitch family, 2022. Raptors coach Jim Sand has been working with him since his rookie days. Time moving fast. Soon, October will be here. That's right. He has a special connection with Siakam for a long, long time. You know, this is the guy who got up in the morning, in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and goes to OVO to rebound for Siakam in the middle of the night. Jim Sand and him do have a very special connection. And if Pascal's not going to be directly with Rico right now, well, it's good that he's with his guy, Jim, and that Jim's in Austria traveling with him. I'm sure Jim Sand's not upset. You know, Jim, you have to go to Austria with Pascal. He's going there, Salzburg, for a Red Bull training camp. And we'd like you to be our Raptors' eyes on the court. Do whatever you need to do for him as a coach and stuff like that. Oh, man, I have to go to Austria? That sucks. What is beautiful country? Take your wife and have a European vacation, Clark Griswold. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Take your family and go do. Hey, kids, Big Ben, Parliament, do that shit. Go over there, Jim saying. Come on now. David saying, I agree. It's water under the bridge, but at least everyone knows he is a fraud. Ooh, you're still bringing up that Fred thing. Who cares? Listen, you sound like Pensair now. Like, I don't want to do this. We do not serve ourselves by destroying our legends. In some ways, we really don't. I know I'm guilty of some things with Chris Bosh and Vince Carter, but with Vince, I mean, with Fred, I'm not doing nothing with him like this. Who cares? A lot of it was hearsay. In some ways, that didn't benefit him financially to try and take that extension right at that moment. Okay, so he lied. I don't know. I don't care. In some ways, I don't know exactly what's the truth. In some ways, Fred's gone. It doesn't matter. That's all I say at this point. And I'm not trying to change his character or judgment or his legend with the Raptors over like whether he made one little white lie or not. And plus, also, in some ways, this business stuff, this contract stuff, is none of our business. It's just the over speculation of the media and content makers always bringing it up. Like the whole thing about talking about Siakam and Gary's contract extensions right now is stupid. Just shut up, people. You over talk about this stupid shit. And that was what that was last year with Fred. It's the same stupid shit. Why hasn't he done his extension this year? Why hasn't he done his extension? Who gives a fuck? Just let them play. We watch them to play. I don't care about that money shit. I don't care about when they asked him and if he said no. If he said no, good, because he was like, I need more money at the end of the year. And that's why I did it that way. And that's exactly what he did. Who cares? It is what it is. I care about them playing. I don't give a shit about when they're asking them for extensions. Everybody's all been out of shape about Siakam not getting his extension offered to him or signed yet. Just shut the fuck up. We don't need to go through this over and over again with his we just finished our off season for the most part. We'll see if it's completely finished or not, but it never ends. As soon as we're done, it's like, okay, when are they going to extend Siakam? When are they going to extend Gary? Over and over again. It never fucking ends. And I'm sick of that kind of content and speculation and noise around our team. Why hasn't Fred had signed his extension this summer or this year yet? Yeah, it's the same shit. And that's why I don't care. Let's see. Iceman saying free agencies still available if Raptors make a trade. Terrence Davis, Terrence Ross, Jalen Noel, Edmund Sumner, Kelly Oubre, Christian Wood, Serge Ibaka, DeMarcus Cousins, Bismack Biyombo. Are those guys in the Suns actually free, like Terrence Ross and Bismack? Because I see them on their roster still. Ross is under a contract with them for like $500,000 for this year, I think. Is Ross still a free agent? Because I thought he was actually on their team still and still going to play for Phoenix this year. I don't want Terrence Davis. Terrence Ross, it would be nice, but it's not as fun. Like at this point, he's older. In some ways, it would be cool to see him playing with Scotty because they kind of have a friendship. Jalen Noel, we got the right Noel. We don't need another one. Edmund Summer, is this like the son of Sting? I don't care. This guy, who he is. Kelly Oubre would be okay. I think he's a good player. Christian Wood, I don't want him. Bad attitude. Serge is aged out. Now he's done this interview with Shams, and he's not helping himself. In fact, he made me not want him on the Raptors after I heard the interview with Shams this week. Because he coming out and he's like dissing the Milwaukee franchise for not communicating with him correctly. I get that. But in some ways, he's really politicking so hard to be in the league, and I get it. But it's not going to happen. Obviously, we went and got Garrett Temple this week. None of those guys are coming. None of those guys are coming here, Iceman. Garrett Temple was the move. If we do a trade or do anything weird, I highly doubt any of those guys will be on our team, especially the guys who've already been Raptors. DeMarcus Cousins, I didn't want him on our team when he was healthy and younger. So why would I want him broken down and old now? I definitely do not want Boogie Cousins. Bismack, I'd be okay with coming back, but I don't think that's likely either. It's weird. Cool Cat saying Pascal is already a proven number 2 on a chip team. His gravity will benefit Dame and vice versa. I shudder to think who we would trade. I really like our trio, but disgruntled superstars on the market. That's what I'm saying. The settings are out there. Masai says, keep your phone near you. And everybody's like joking this week. Always like, keep our phones near us. Garrett Temple? Come on, Masai. You got our hopes up, and you're bringing us this 37-year-old vet guy who's married to Miss USA. What is this, Masai? We wanted some blockbuster. You're going to tell us to have our phone next to us. It better be good. Well, it may be still. So keep your phone next to you. We'll have to see. Cowboys saying Nurse fucked up our defense. Darko will fix all this. I believe we keep who we got. I love our team as is, but if anything happens, I'll stand behind Masai. Whatever that he does, let's go Raptors. There you go. Yeah, it's just trust in Masai. And if he gets to pull the trigger, I'm sure it'll be something like Kawhi and DeMar. It'll be huge. It will be huge. And that may be that other shoe to drop for this summer. Nick Nurse gets fired, and Darko becomes our new coach. Dwayne Casey gets fired, and Nick Nurse becomes our new coach. Big trade happens near the end of in the middle of the summer. Yeah, we could mimic 5 years ago right now if we want to. If he pulls this trigger and he gets Dame Lillard, that is mimicking the summer of 2018 for the Raptors, and we know what happened in 2019. So I'm just saying, you in some ways you want to roll that dice and take that chance. Seriously. But I get it. Listen. Well, I think we're all very similar here. We love our team. We love our guys. We don't want to trade any of them. We're happy, perfectly happy going forward into the season the way we are right now. As I said, we're not desperate to make a trade. We don't care. They probably very much reflect us in the front office. And if it does happen, because we can make something really good happen for us and we can take advantage of it, then do it. Yes, I think we're all on the same page on this. MSJ saying at Stargate, I agree. Lillard is not the right player for this team. He will not be happy coming here. Miami is the only place he wants. The NBA knows it, and that's where he's off to. And at Cowboy, drinking my liter of coffee, my guy. Mug Brothers, in effect. I love it. All right. Well, once again, guys, Stargate and Chris, you guys are awesome, and we're going to disagree a little bit on this. Lillard is a really good player for our team. In fact, when I heard this could happen, I was like, this guy would be perfect to come here, and this would fit really well. So I will agree to disagree about the fit, because I've kind of already gone over it. Now, as far as him being happy to come here, he will be happy to come here. He just wants to leave Portland. He just wants a chance to try and win. It could be, like I said earlier, it could be very similar to Kawhi. Kawhi did not think he would go to Toronto, but boy, did things work out when he went to Toronto. And it wasn't a big deal. Lillard is a better pro than Kawhi. If this is the exact same situation, a disgruntled star, and somebody saying they only want to go to one place, well, he can't now at this point. He's been reprimanded for saying that. And he's already come out publicly and he said, I go against everything I just said. In some ways, he was stupid for saying it in the first place. If you really want to get out of Portland, well, why would you make it so much harder for yourself by telling everybody else, no, don't try and work on a deal. I just want to go to Miami. That didn't serve him. He can't realistically just be that demanding. And that was the whole problem with the whole situation. And that's why the NBA came at him. Well, they had to publicly say afterwards, he's fine with going wherever he gets traded. And he wouldn't say that if he wasn't turning his mind and changing it. I'm telling you, if Kawhi was willing to come to Toronto and do a 1-year rental with us, Lillard will come to Toronto. Trust me. And he will not be upset about it. He's a pro. He put up with so much in Portland for how long? Over a decade. And now he's going to get upset to go to a fresh new team, especially when he comes into a new team. Like, picture this, MSJ. He shows up in Toronto. Darko greets him right away. He sees the professionalism and just how high class that we run our team, how we take care of them so well. And he's like, holy shit, this is night and day from Portland. And the bullshit with their front office and the sexual harassment there and the other bullshit and toxicness. This is a good team. They're running it really well. They're professional. He will eat it up and he will thrive in it because he'll be like, I'm confident in this team. I've not been totally confident in Portland. In fact, his years in Portland, he has been the confident part of the whole situation there. Everything else shaky in the whole fucking place, whether it's all the way from the front office, all the way to the coaches, all the way to the rest of the players. But the one person who's not shaky was Lillard. So if he goes into a situation that's not shaky, very professional and at the highest quality, he will thrive and love it. He will embrace it. So, he'll meet Dr. Alex just like Kawhi did, and he'll be like, this guy's awesome. And he'll be like, I'm so happy I'm in Toronto. So don't underestimate how quickly we charm people and how attractive and how awesome it is actually to be on the Raptors. Because it is. It very much is. It's a premium team, and they love being here. This is something that's part of Raptors culture, and he will embrace that. He will embrace that. Cowboys got his mug out too. Bam, bam. That's a lot of coffee, bro. Y'all be up all day. You're gonna be up. You're gonna be pepped up. People at work will be like, "Whoa, Chris is really going today." Yeah, he's really going. Holy crap! He had that mug of beer. A mug of coffee this morning. Let's see, Cowboy. Which has more value, platinum or palladium? Ooh, are you guys talking about selling quantities like gold? You're talking about platinum gold or palladium gold? I'm not even sure what's going on here. Are we in commodities trade talk here now? Am I that mad guy with the no hair, Jim Cramer? Mad money. Let's see. Stargate saying, Cowboy, I agree. Would like to see how this team does as is. Dame's just a high volume scorer, doesn't really do much else. Yeah, okay, he's clutch in the fourth, but that's not what wins championships. Okay, once again, I'm going to disagree with you again. You need this dude. There's only a few guys in this league that are like him. Let's just put it this way. He is like a Steph Curry. He's like a Fred VanVleet to a degree, but better than Fred VanVleet for sure. A logo 3 guy, a guy who can shoot from all the way out from half court and any way coming in. A guy who has that amount of years of experience. I think you're poo-pooing who Damian Lillard is. I think that in some ways you're not giving him the full credit of his whole body of work. This man is the leading scorer in the franchise of the Trailblazers franchise all time. He has the most points scored for a franchise that's been around since the 70s. And it's not just that. You are undervaluing exactly what all else is involved with him. He's not just a scorer. He's not just this. Sure, he's overwhelmingly good at that stuff, but that overshadows the fact that he's a pretty good player all around in different ways also. I do not agree that he's a horrible defender. I think that if he has the gumption and he has the drive, he can be a very, very on top of the ball kind of defender and a very good one. It's just that if he's working too hard on one end and the defense sucks for the Blazers, maybe he doesn't work as hard. But if he has good caliber defenders around him on his team and they're all working really hard, he won't be the one that fucks up the defense. Trust me, because he knows that there's going to be a weak link on the defense. He won't be that one. He won't let himself be that one. We've got to understand the body of work. We've got to understand the level of competitor he is and the fact that he is starved to be absolutely get further in levels in the playoffs than he has with the Trailblazers. This dude is a home run. If we can get him, it's not a bad thing in any kind of way. Trust me. Seriously, he's a home run. And he does win championships. In fact, that's the one thing he really wants to do the most right now at this point. This is the only thing he cares about right now is to go get another chip, get a chip and get another Raptors chip is what I'm saying if he does come here. Iceman saying at Stargate, Lillard averaged 7.3 assists last season. He would open up the court for Siakam and vice versa. Gary would get more wide open looks. Pearl could own the paint and Barnes could freelance. In some ways, he fits us better than having OG on this team. We could make that argument. Some people have made arguments that the Raptor spacing's all screwed up because of the different players we have involved with us. In some ways, Lillard would fix that problem if you take OG out of the picture with what he needs to do with what he does, and you put Lillard in there instead. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. It's good that we have two sides, and we're talking pro and anti Lillard kind of stuff here because it's important to see both sides and the pros and the cons of both sides. Cowboys saying trading for Lillard to me doesn't make sense. If we did, why have Dennis? Why have Noel? Why have Liberty? To me, it's not going to happen. Also, big ups to Seymour. I'm from Calgary. Yeehaw, let's go. I mean, Dennis is not the level of Damian Lillard. We cannot say that any of those guys you named are anywhere near what Lillard is. Lillard is a top 20 player in this league, y'all. He is absolutely, and he is a game changer, and he would make a huge difference. Just trust me on this. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No skin off my back. I am happy with us going forward as is or with him. Either way, I'll be happy. Fiercely saying, thank you, Lex, for having us participate in the WNBA Fantasy League. It made me watch interesting games, and I now have my two favorite teams, Dallas and Seattle. Las Vegas are tough, but not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Vegas Aces either, partly because they're kind of like arrogant. I get it. They have a really impressive record this season. And Becky Hammond's the ultimate competitor, and she's fantastic. But there's certain personalities on that team that rub me the wrong way. I don't know. I've never liked the juggernaut top team. So that's why I'm not an Aces fan either. I've been a big fan of the Seattle Storm in the past because I like that they still have that WNBA team after the Sonics left. And, that's a good team. Dallas has got a very good team also. Yeah. It's been fun being involved with the WNBA this summer. And if the Raptors franchise gets a WNBA franchise, I'll be all about it. And now we know a bit more about the players and who's involved in the names. And that's what this really was for. Play the fantasy this summer so that we can get more orientated with the personalities and the teams and the players in the WNBA. And now I know a lot about the WNBA just from playing fantasy. Seymour saying Lillard stays as healthy as Anthony Davis, always down. This is a big risk. Now, is that true? I don't remember Lillard being hurt all the time, though. I often see him play when we play the Portland Trailblazers. I don't know if this is exactly true. Could it be that he's taken time off when they have been shitty and kind of middling? And he's kind of like, you know what? I don't feel like suiting up right now. Maybe because he feels like it's a waste of time on what's going on with the team because they're still spinning their wheels. That may have happened a few times in his career where the Portland's franchise and their GM office is just really inept. And he feels like, all right, this is the same thing. We're just going to be like the fourth team in the Northwest Division, and we're not going to make 500. And why should I try? You know what? I'm shutting down for the season. That kind of shit. I don't know. I've never really thought of him as being injury prone. That's not a label I put on him. Infamous is saying, and if he is, well, Dr. Alex, Kawhi Leonard. There you go. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. Dollar wouldn't work here. You would have to gut your team to get him. Huge drop off in the second round of the playoffs. And third, he will be on a team that he doesn't want to be on. I'll disagree with all your points, Infamous. Once again, I've been kind of already disagreeing with these on the stream already. Dollar wouldn't work here. You'd have to gut your team to get him. They are saying that we could trade OG, Chris, and Thaddeus, and we could get Dame Lillard for that. I would maybe do that. Seriously. I would maybe do that. Seriously. I don't think that's gutting your team. You still got Siakam, you still got Barnes, you still got Precious, you still got Koloko, you still got Gary, you still got Dennis, and then you got Damian also. That's not gutting your team. You don't have to gut your team to get him. Watch. Seriously. If it happens, it won't be gutting our team. Watch. Masai will do it in a way where it doesn't gut our team. Did it gut our team when we got Kawhi? No, it didn't. It did not gut our team. And that's what he's going to make sure. That's why he won't do the deal if it does that. He's not going to do a dumb deal like they did with Utah last year, Cleveland and Minnesota. No, he's not going to do one of those kind of deals. He's going to do a straight up deal where it'll be a few players for Lillard, and that's it. You're saying a huge drop off in the second round of the playoffs, and third, he will huge drop off in the second round of the playoffs. Well, that's his history with the Portland Trailblazers, and that's not totally his fault. That has to do more with the team capable around him. He has not had very good teams around him for most of his career in Portland, and that's part of the problem with him. He had better teams when he was younger, and he was getting somewhere in the playoffs back then. But in recent years, the Trailblazers haven't had shit around him to get any traction in the playoffs. You can't blame his playoff losses and not successful on him. You got to blame that whole team and how badly they've been managed. Third, he will be on a team he will want to be on. I just described how it'll happen. If Kawhi was not too thrilled about going to Toronto, well, he became very thrilled about it and it worked out. If Kawhi can go through that, Dame Lillard's easier to go through that. Trust me. He's not as much of a problem player as Kawhi Leonard is. He's very much a good citizen. He's been loyal to that team and shut up about it for more than a decade. It's just recently he's turned into a malcontent. And honestly, he's not really. In some ways, he got a bite back against him this summer for how he's acting from the NBA and from public perception around the league that he doesn't like. And I think he's turned full circle on this 180. And he's like, no, all right, I'll go to any team. I just want to win. I want to go to a situation where I feel like I have a good chance to win. And that's all he wants. He thinks that Miami's that team because they just went to the finals. And in his head, that adds up to like, well, they just got to the finals in the Eastern Conference. That is probably the best team in the East to try and get to. But that may be part of the reasoning. And it's also he wants to go play with Jimmy and them. His first choice is definitely Miami. And that is where he would like to be ultimately. But it doesn't mean he's going to get what he wants. It doesn't mean that it's going to line up. If it was going to line up and happen, it would have happened already. It's not going to happen. He's not going to go to Miami, and they're going to be looking for a second choice. And Toronto could be that team. Seriously. Toronto could be that team. Nameless, thanks for the cutoff. Stargate saying, infamous, Cowboys, Seymour, and MSJ. I agree with you guys. You know, this is great. I love it. We're contentious. We're not totally lining up eye to eye. That's fine. Let's just see what happens. If no deals happen, I'll be perfectly fine. If a deal happens, I hope you guys can embrace it and kind of hopefully look at it and be like, all right, we got to see what Masai and Bobby see about this. And, well, let's see how it goes. You know, we just got to be open to what could be possible in the future. But if we're staying pat and we're going forward like you guys want, I'm totally fine with that too. I really am. Cowboys saying, not too sure, Seymour, but if you want to invest, if you can potash is good. When I was an iron worker out west, I worked in Saskatchewan for a bit, and they got lakes if they're there, and we send train loads to China. You guys are in commodities trading conversations right now. Wild. So he's saying invest in potash, y'all, because China's all about it. Oh, man. Chris is saying Lillard could fit the Raps, but he will not at all be happy. I disagree with this. He's already in trouble for saying what he said. He's smart. He's not a knucklehead. He's a smart guy. He will be fine with coming here. Trust me. MSJ saying he will be pissed. He wants the South Beach shine, the beach parties, all that comes. He is near the end of it, and he wants life in a ring. He doesn't want the parties. He doesn't want the beach. He doesn't give a shit about that stuff. He only wants to go to Miami, like I said, because he thinks that they have the best chance to win a championship in the Eastern Conference. But there's a lot of different teams with him added to it that they may be able to compete for a championship. And our team, I believe, is one of them. So he doesn't want to go to Miami for those reasons. He only wants to go there because he thinks he can win a championship, and he likes the guys that are on the team already because they're his friends. He doesn't give a shit about Miami life. He doesn't give a shit about partying. He's not about that kind of stuff in a lot of ways. MSJ saying Fred VanVleet, no hate, but I think he is in for a world of hurt on the Rockets, in for a very, very rough go. He better take that bet off himself this year. And truly, he got the money. He might not even care now. That's probably it. Exactly right there. In some ways, it's like Fred took the money and it's like he's in retirement already. He's going to play for them, but it's not going to be the same kind of thing when he was here in Toronto. He had so much to prove, and he proved a lot of it here. In some ways, he's like, this is part of the reason why we could let him walk, or we don't care about him coming here. Because in some ways, his hunger is satiated. He had a hunger to come in this league, just like Marquise Noel has right now. And he got all the things he was trying to do. He won a championship. He got all-star. He won franchise records. He got accolades. And in some ways, it's like he's good. And so, all right, what's the next thing to get? Get your bag. And it's not even about winning anymore at this point. It probably isn't anything he cares about it anymore. He probably is going to take a lot of hate. He's probably going to get a lot of bullshit, a lot more bullshit now. And but he doesn't care because he's laughing all the way to the bank. So yeah, I think this is exactly right. The hurt on the Rockets is going to come from a couple different things. It may come from teammate stuff. It could come from the coach. It could come from the perception that he's making so much money for what he does on the court. That's going to be one of the things he has to battle the most, is the idea that he's making so much money for what he does. And he could be really quickly somebody who's looked at as having one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Seriously, that's going to be the thing that people are going to be saying probably. Watch. Wayne's saying our conversation should focus on the ability of Darko to improve talented, willing players. Imagine super talented players. Imagine our talent crew well prepared and coached in a team-oriented system. I love that. Ooh, you're speaking to my dreams, Wayne Strainer. Maybe this is what I dream of at night. Sometimes I do. I dream of the Raptors playing really well and winning more Larry O'Briens while I'm sleeping. Yeah, I like all of this description. And I think hopefully this is what will happen. We'll see Darko get a whole bunch of different things out of our talented team and be very innovative with his strategies as a coach of the Raptors. I'm all about seeing what Darko is going to do. I love it. It's exciting to me. It's kind of like surprises and getting to see, oh, wow, cool. Look at what he did. Awesome. Cowboys saying, Lex and Raptor Freaks, bam, have a blessed day. Stay safe. Enjoy the sun. It's Carnival weekend. Let's go. Lillard who? Peace. All right. And Stargate saying, well, let's agree to disagree. That's perfectly fine. If they make this deal, I'm going to tell both sides. If they make this deal, please be open to it, because obviously Bobby and Masai, we know if they're going to do a deal, it may shake us and be like, holy shit, they just traded this person on our team like they did DeMar. And we may be like, what the fuck are they doing? I hate this. Why did they sell out DeMar like this for Kawhi Leonard? Oh my gosh. Remember how you felt in that moment. If they do make some sort of crazy deal for Damian Lillard very soon, remember how you felt in that moment with the DeMar deal, and remember what the outcome was. Just remember that. That's what I'll say for that side. Now, for the other side of people, the people that are really lusting for a Lillard trade, if a Lillard trade does not happen, don't get all bent out of shape. We have no idea exactly what realistically was on the table and how far they actually got in talks. There's so many people saying stupid shit to this day from last summer about the Kevin Durant trade sweepstakes that we did not fulfill and have happen here. That was for the best, obviously, because we saw what happened with Kevin in different ways in the last year. And some people are still upset about that. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We do not know what the trade landscape would have been. And that trade just didn't happen. It didn't connect. But there's still people pointing this out as is some sort of mistake by a front office. Motherfuckers, you do not know what they had in front of them. You don't know how much the Nets were trying to fleece us in this deal to get Kevin Durant. So if you don't get a deal for Dame Lillard, don't be upset either, y'all. Don't be like, oh, this is their mistake. They didn't jump on getting Lillard when they could have, and bring this up later. Fuck that shit. Y'all are speculative and you don't know exactly what was realistic. So there you go. Monique saying, is this the Lillard show? Cut off for the W Stream Lex all around. Keep at it always. Hello, preseason Darko era. Yes, Monique. It is a little bit of the Lillard show. But this is very important to talk about for Raptors Nation, because there is real smoke out there about us being involved. And I'll tell you, it makes a lot of sense. Some people here, it doesn't make sense. But in some ways, it makes sense for the Raptors. It makes sense for Damian Lillard. It makes sense for the NBA. And it makes sense with the terrain and the atmosphere of the NBA and what is possible with different teams and what Portland wants. Toronto getting Lillard is very possible. Seriously. And that's why we're just going into it. I wouldn't speculate and talk about something like this if there isn't a real chance that this could happen. And that, otherwise I'd be wasting my time. But we're going to talk about it a little bit for sure. All right, Cowboy, let's go. And that chompy chomp Raptors, chompy chomp face. All right. Thank you guys for watching me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let me just make sure I did my Instagram check. We've gone over the preseason schedule for the Raptors this year. Sacramento, Sunday, August 8th in the Rogers Arena in Vancouver. So all you BC people in Vancouver, get your tickets when they go on sale. Also, we got a game against NBL's Carnes Taipans at Scotiabank Arena, October the 15th on a Sunday. Tuesday the 17th, Chicago Bulls in United Center on that Tuesday. And then on the Friday, October the 20th, the Washington Wizards will travel to Toronto to play against us in the last preseason game. There's your preseason schedule. Thank you once again, Diana Taurasi, 10,000 points, WNBA history, the most points ever scored by a WNBA player. That is absolutely fantastic. And I applaud the NBA Players Association for denouncing Orlando Magic's contribution to the Super PAC supporting Ron DeSantis. You know, the DeVos family owns the Magic, and that's Betsy DeVos, the former Secretary of Education under Donald Trump. They're a gross family, and they've always been this way. This is part of the reason why Jonathan Isaacs fits in real well with the Magic. Well, this is a really weird situation because they gave this money to DeSantis in the name of the whole team, and a lot of the players do not agree with that. In fact, the Players Association is kind of pissed at them that they gave money to such a bigot, somebody who's trying to teach that slavery was beneficial to black people. So yeah, why would we feel like Orlando's okay? We should be okay with Orlando giving this guy this money to become president. This motherfucker denounces slavery as being beneficial towards black people. So yeah, why do you not see that this is a slap in the face and this is not good, Orlando Magic? You're a fucked up team. In fact, in some ways, what you did hurt your team. There's a lot more progressive and left thinking players in the league. And they may be turned off and be like, I'm never going to play for the Orlando Magic at this point. So you shoot yourself in the foot giving money to Ron DeSantis like you did this week. You idiots. Yeah, Orlando Magic, you deserve to be a bottom dweller forever for that. And there's a lot of players that are going to be like, I never will play for the Magic at this point. Watch. That's another reason why, you know, Lillard may not actually want to go to Miami in some ways, partly because of Florida's politics and how fucked up that state is right now. You know, in some ways, Ron DeSantis could be bad for the sports teams in his state. He can be bad for business. He can be bad for all kinds of things because people avoid Florida. And Orlando Magic are number one on that list at this point. If you're any kind of progressive player, you do not want to necessarily play for the Magic. So, yeah, good job shooting yourself in the foot, Magic, by being overtly giving money to Ron DeSantis. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Isaac saying, tell Dame we are looking for a new premier of Ontario. It's Dame over Doug. I like that, Isaac. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that'll entice him more. It's like, yeah, you can be the premier of Ontario. What? It's like being the governor. Oh, cool. Not surprised by Orlando. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that either. Good job, NBA Players Association and Larry Nance Jr. denouncing the Orlando Magic. All right, y'all. Have a great Friday. Saturday, share the love club tomorrow for Leo Routens. Let's share some love for Leo, who lost one of his dogs recently, and talk about the greatness of Leo Routens and his history with the Toronto Raptors team in the broadcasting booth. All right, y'all. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and Raptorize your Friday, TGIF. Be safe out there, everybody. Have a fantastic Carnival weekend and just let the good times roll, baby. Let's go, Raptors.